There is a leaf on one of your plants with a bite taken out of it. Maybe an insect found it, maybe it got torn. Either way, you look at that one damaged leaf and you think the problem stops there. One bad leaf on an otherwise fine plant. What you don't see is that the instant that leaf was wounded, a signal shot out of it and raced across the entire plant in seconds, reaching leaves on the far side that were never touched and putting the whole plant on alert. And the signal that traveled is closer to what fires inside your own body than anything you'd expect from something rooted in a pot. Your plant, the quiet green thing in the corner, has a fast internal alarm system. Damage one part of it, and the rest knows almost immediately. Not through some slow chemical seeping through the soil, but through a wave that moves like a nerve impulse. Scientists didn't just detect it, they made it glow and they filmed it. By the end of this, you'll know what that signal is, why it uses the same messenger your nerves use, and the one thing it should change about how you handle a plant with a single damaged leaf. And the fifth point is a plant that takes this ability so far, it can actually count. Let's start with that one bitten leaf. 1. The damage is never as local as it looks. Picture it. You spot a leaf that's been chewed. A notch out of the edge, a hole in the middle. Your instinct is that this is a contained, local event. That leaf got hurt. The rest of the plant is a bystander. If anything, you might pluck the bad leaf and move on, figuring you've dealt with it. But the plant doesn't treat it as local at all. The moment a leaf is wounded, bitten, cut, torn, it doesn't just sit there and bleed, it broadcasts. It sends out an alarm that travels away from the wound through the plant's plumbing to leaves that are nowhere near the damage. Leaves at the top, leaves on the opposite stem, leaves the insect hasn't even found yet. All of them receive the message that an attack is underway. One leaf gets hurt and the whole plant finds out. And the truly surprising part isn't that the message travels, it's what kind of message it is. 2. The signal is electrical, like a nerve firing. You'd assume a plant, if it communicates internally at all, does it slowly and chemically, some substance oozing from cell to cell over long minutes, and chemistry is part of it. But the fast part, the part that catches scientists off guard, is electrical. When a leaf is wounded, it generates a wave of electrical activity that surges through the plant, and it behaves eerily like the electrical impulses that run through an animal's nerves. This was pinned down by Edward Farmer and his colleague Sayed Mousavi at the University of Lausanne and published in the journal Nature in 2013. They found that wounding one leaf produces a measurable electrical signal that spreads to distant leaves, and crucially, that this depends on a specific family of genes in the plant that closely resemble the receptors animals use in their own nervous systems. Knock those genes out, and the electrical alarm fails to travel. The plant was using electrically charged signaling machinery that looks like a stripped-down, ancient cousin of the wiring in your own body, a plant with no brain, no nerves, and no muscles, running an electrical alarm through its leaves. And they were about to see exactly what carries it. 3. The messenger is glutamate, the same one your nerves use, and they filmed it glowing. Here's the finding that turns this from surprising into almost hard to believe. Scientists wanted to see the alarm as it happened. So a team led by Masatsugu Toyota, working in Simon Gilroy's lab at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, engineered plants to produce a protein that lights up, literally fluoresces, whenever calcium floods into the cells. Then they wounded a single leaf and filmed the plant under the camera. What they saw, published in the journal Science in 2018, looks like something out of science fiction, a bright wave of light blazing out from the wound and racing across the whole plant, leaf to leaf in real time. That wave of light was a wave of calcium, and it moved at about 1 millimeter every second, fast enough to cross the plant in a couple of minutes. And what set it off? Glutamate. When a leaf is damaged, it releases glutamate, which, in your body, is one of the most important neurotransmitters your nervous system uses to fire signals between neurons, the same molecule. The plant floods glutamate at the wound that triggers the racing calcium wave, and the alarm spreads. Scientists watched a plant send a danger signal using the exact chemical messenger that carries thoughts across your brain. If this is changing how you see the plant sitting near you right now, subscribe. This channel decodes what your plants are actually doing, backed by real science, not guesswork. The wave itself is only half the story. The real question is what the plant does when the alarm arrives. 4. The untouched leaves arm themselves before the threat reaches them. A signal is only useful if something acts on it. So follow the wave to its destination. When that calcium alarm reaches a distant, undamaged leaf, that leaf doesn't wait to be attacked. Within minutes, it starts ramping up its defenses, flooding itself with bitter, toxic compounds that make it harder to eat and less appealing to the insect chewing its way across the plant. The leaf that hasn't been touched yet gets ready anyway. Think about the logic of that. The plant isn't just reporting damage, it's issuing a warning that lets the rest of its body prepare for an attack that hasn't arrived. By the time the insect crawls over to a fresh leaf, that leaf is already armed and waiting, its chemistry turned hostile. The plant used the speed of an electrical signal to get ahead of the threat. It didn't wait to be bitten. It got ready. That is not a passive organism absorbing damage. That's a plant defending itself as a single coordinated whole. One part sounding an alarm, every other part responding, and a few plants take this electrical machinery somewhere that sounds impossible. 5, and this is the strangest turn. Some plants can count. There's a plant you've almost certainly heard of that uses this same electrical wiring to do something no one expects a plant to do. It counts. The Venus flytrap. When an insect lands in its trap and brushes the tiny trigger hairs inside, each touch fires off an electrical signal. The same kind of impulse we've been talking about, and the flytrap keeps track of them. One touch, and nothing happens. The trap stays open, ignoring a false alarm like a raindrop. But a second touch within about 20 seconds, and the trap snaps shut. It's counting to 2 before it commits. And it doesn't stop there. As the trapped insect keeps struggling and keeps triggering the hairs, the plant keeps counting, and around the 5th electrical signal, it begins producing the digestive juices to actually consume its prey. Rainer Hedrick and his colleagues at the University of Würzburg documented exactly this. The flytrap counts its electrical pulses using the buildup of calcium as a kind of running tally, and each number triggers a different decision. 2 to close, 5 to digest. A plant, keeping count with electricity. So remember where we started. That one bitten leaf you thought was an isolated little problem. It was never isolated. The instant it was wounded, it lit up a wave that raced across the whole plant using the same messenger that fires in your nerves and put every other leaf on alert. Your quiet house plant is running that same fast electrical machinery right now, in the dark, ready to react the moment something takes a bite. To be clear and honest, because this channel runs on it, plants have no brain, no nerves, and no thoughts. Words like alarm, count, and decide describe real, measurable, electrical and chemical machinery that happens to resemble ours, not feelings and not consciousness. What's remarkable isn't that plants think. It's that evolution built something this fast and this coordinated with none of the parts we assumed it required. So here's the one thing to change, starting today. The next time you find a single chewed or damaged leaf, don't shrug it off and don't just pluck that one leaf. Understand that the whole plant already knows, which means the whole plant is already stressed and already dealing with a threat. Check all of it. Turn the leaves over, look for the pest that caused it, and if you find one, move that plant away from your others quickly, because its neighbors can't send an electrical warning across the gap between pots, but a spreading insect will happily make the trip. One damaged leaf isn't one leaf's problem. It's the whole plant telling you something's here. That's what we do here. Read what your plant won't say. And it turns out it's been wired to say quite a lot.